Hello and welcome to The Game of Life. This is a special edition because in the house we have ultimate greatness. He just retired or hung his boots not long ago, December 2025, but oh man, the man has done it all. Captained both Rugby 7s and the 15s. He'll tell me the years. Captained Heathens, 13 years of the 18. He played at Heathens, 54 national caps. Well, 4 Commonwealth Games, 2 of them as captain Team Uganda. He's won Africa Rugby 7s 2017, 2022. What more should I say? In the house, the one and only, Michael Wokorach, Gonya. Michael, welcome to The Game of Life.
Thank you very much,
It's
Andrew.
been a long time coming.
I know.
Finally.
You've pushed me for quite a long time, so I'm really happy that I've made it today.
Hey.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Thank you very much, and happy to invite me to come and talk about rugby and life, basically. So,
Gonya.
Yeah.
Nedi.
Nedipe.
Kopango.
Kope.
Hey,
Atiema
I've
Bear.
got it.
Atiema Bear.
Ha, you're going to rescue me now.
You say Atiema Bear.
Atiema Bear.
Yes.
So it's the same.
Same thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Why is that? Where do you fall exactly?
I fall both ways.
Okay.
So Nedi, and you say Nedipe is from the Aluran, that is Pakwach, and then Kopango, Kope is Acholi.
So who is who? Where is dad? Where is mom?
Dad is from Pakwach, mom is from Gulu.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, pure breed.
Pure breed.
Yeah.
UN.
Yeah.
Michael, man, I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Because you've served the country so well. We'll even have to find out why you retired, because you look as fresh. People need your services. You hung your boots in December. We shall go in detail in that. But after retiring, I was chasing you, and the next thing I knew, you had gone away. How have you managed the last 4 months of retirement? How has it been?
He has been pretty much busy. When I retired, I had a plan.
Yeah.
And when I retired in January, I left Uganda.
Okay.
I went to the US. I had been there for about 2 months. I just came back recently. And I think that was one of the reasons why I really had to hang out my boots, because I was looking at a bigger thing and a bigger future for me. Also, having played for so long, I needed to have something to do for myself, because life is not all about playing rugby. I needed to plan the future and see what I can do for myself, so that at the end of it all, I know I did my thing in rugby, but I also have a future I had to step back to. Yeah.
And planning for the life after. That's, you're speaking kind of my language.
Exactly.
We'll get into that. But Michael, not just playing the game. You've been a leader throughout. At Heathens, national team, and everything you've done. You've just been a leader. How much of this is down to your background back home?
I think because I grew up in a family that was extended, and I saw the leadership from my dad, because the family I grew up were 11 kids. You can imagine, 11
That's
kids.
a football team, first 11.
Yeah, starting 11.
Yeah.
So the way he carried the family, you really see a leader. And in those 11 were only 2 boys. So there were 9 girls and 2 boys. So for a father having such a number of kids and most of them being girls, you need some leadership skills. And I think it helped me a lot shape my future. He was really a father figure and made sure that he led the family. And I think I picked a lot of inspiration from him, and it helped me so much, because I became a captain at a very young age. I was just very fresh from high school. Joining
Which
Heathens,
school?
I was in Maryland, and then St. Lawrence, Crimland.
Okay.
Yeah. So leaving school in 2008, people may start counting my age, but it's okay.
Clearly.
So 2008 is when I left high school, and then I joined Heathens. Then after that, I joined national team. So from the time I joined national team, I became a leader. And then Heathens really saw that, how does Michael become a leader of Uganda and he's not a leader of Heathens? So they also gave me the captainship of Heathens.
Oh, so it was the other way around.
Yeah, it was the other way
first,
around.
They delayed.
It was first Uganda.
They slept on the job and they're like, we need to rectify this.
But at that time, I think Heathens had capable captains, because Mubiru was a captain before me.
Alex.
Yes. And then Tindi, that is Brian Tabaruka, was a captain before me. So there was a hierarchy they had to follow before they could give me the captainship for Heathens.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you lost your parents?
Yes, I lost my dad in 2002.
Yeah.
And I think that was the beginning of my rugby, actually. It was a blessing in disguise because when I lost my dad, we used to stay in Bugolobi Flats. So you can imagine the Bugolobi Flats, we had 11 kids, my mom and my dad, and then we also had someone who was our caretaker. So the house had about 14 people. So when I lost my dad in 2002, my mom could not take care of us. She had to find a way of giving us out to her sisters to try and see if they could take care of us, because it was very hard for her to take care of 11 kids. And at that time I was still young. So like I said, it was a blessing in disguise, because from Bugolobi I transitioned and went and stayed in Nakawa, because at that time I had an auntie who was an MP and she was capable of taking care of me. So my mom threw me to my auntie. She not threw me, but she just
I get it.
asked my auntie, can you take care of Michael? And I went and stayed in Nakawa. And now you know what Nakawa is back then. It used to be the hub of sportsmen and sportswomen, because they had the facilities. They would go to Lugogo and do everything. So that was the first time I actually got interested in rugby.
Because, I mean, you're a young boy at this time.
Yeah, I was a young boy. I was actually in P7 at that time. Very young. So I met the lives of Opa, Chris Lubanga, Benon Kiza.
Yeah.
Those are the guys, Brian Chikawa, those are the guys who put me into the rugby system. One day they came home and they asked me, I was a very timid boy, because if you look at Nakawa and Bugolobi, those are two different areas, because Bugolobi was regarded as an high end. Then when you go to Nakawa, was like more of a...
life starts.
Exactly. I want to once. So life started when I went to Nakawa. I met up with these guys. They asked me, can you come to Chadondo? Just come and watch a rugby game. And I started as a ball boy, actually, at Chadondo. And from that time, I didn't look back. I looked at the sport, very organized. There were white boys. I was like, this is the sport I want to come and play, because things looked like life was going to be very order. Good. There was order and all that. So I fell in love with the game, how it was administered and how it was managed. And I ended up picking up a rugby ball in 2002, and the rest is history.
We'll get into what the feeling was like when you picked up that ball. But losing your dad at such an age, how much of it, inspired or affected the way you carried yourself on and off court? Because the weight must have been big.
You see, like I said, it was a blessing in disguise, because if I did not lose my dad, I don't think I would have played rugby. So that's the difference. Because when I lost him is when I went into a rugby playing community. But if my dad was still there, I would have not even actually thought about playing rugby, because in Bugolobi, where we grew up, there was basically football and basketball. And I didn't even know about rugby. I just got to know about rugby when I moved from Bugolobi and went into Nakawa. So that is how it was. But it was quite challenging, because you losing a father who was the pillar of the house. Remember, like I told you, it was an extended family. It was quite challenging for my mom, my siblings and all that. So we ended up moving into different walks of life. And life became tough, but I'm very happy and glad that God opened different doors for me, and it made me a better person. And here I am today. You've just read my CV. A man who has played for Uganda for so long. So it was all good in the beginning, but quite challenging in the start.
Did the rest of your siblings continue in school?
Yes, they did. They continued being in school, but it became tougher for them. Some of them had to drop out of school and just look for how they could live their lives. But me, it was quite good, because my auntie took care of me. She made sure I stay in school, because she had the funds and all that, her being an MP at that time. And I managed to go to very good schools, because I went to Maryland in Entebbe, then I finally went to St. Lawrence.
Is your auntie there, the one who took care of it?
Yeah, she's still there.
You can send her regards.
Definitely. Honorable Santo Court, I send you regards. And thanks for taking care of me at my young age. I greatly appreciate. you made Michael Wokorach.
Beautiful. And mom,
So at that point, when my dad died, my mom really had to struggle, but God also helped her. She found her doors out of Uganda, and she moved and relocated to the US, to the UK, and she's still staying in the UK up to now. Yeah.
now, when it comes to mom and school and you, so did you know what you wanted to go and do at school?
No, it was all try and error.
Yeah.
When I continued with school in Maryland, I went to St. Lawrence. It was all try and error, but I finally found my footing because after high school, I went to Nkumba University, is where I did my degree in procurement. And it was quite good because they say rugby, when you're a sportsman and you learned, it's a good thing for you to make decisions in life. Yeah.
Because when the game ends, the other game starts.
Yeah, there's always a fallback.
Yeah. Mike, I want you to take us to that point when you first held the ball as a teenager.
Yeah.
12, 14. How did it feel?
It was quite weird and challenging because I'd never seen a rugby ball, first of all.
Yeah.
I'd never seen
Doesn't even look like a ball the way we know it.
like a ball. I'd never seen people play rugby, actually.
Yeah.
But it was quite amazing because the atmosphere that I went to was good. And it made me feel, like I said, I fell in love with the game just from the time I just stepped at Chadondo. I was a ball boy. I very well remember the game was Heathens and Cobs who were playing at Chadondo. And Heathens had mostly the white boys. And then Cobs had the Alan Musokes and all that, a mixture of different guys. So it was pretty much good, but I feared the sport in the beginning because growing up I was not a very rough man. I even don't know where the Gonya came in from at one point.
What is Gonya?
Yeah?
What is Gonya?
So Gonya is just a nickname that was given to me by one of my teammates. I remember there was a game we were playing against Mongers at Chadondo. So I like hitting guys, knocking them off and all that. So there's this one time I had the ball and I was running, charging at someone, and he went very low to try and tackle me, but I went lower than him to hit him off. And then Opa, Chris Lubanga, was on the bench, and he said a comment to the players and said, Olavanga wa muchimiunga Gonya, like I picked him down like a Gonya and I
scooped him.
I scooped him. So the name just stuck there. And everyone just started calling me Gonya from
the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Hey, and then from school, because you said you captained Crimland as well?
Yes, I was the captain of Crimland, and we helped Crimland actually quite a lot because at that time, rugby in Crimland was actually really, really big. We used to play in the Coca-Cola Schools League, and we're a very strong household. We used to play Budo, we used to play Namliango, we used to play Smack. So when I went to Crimland, I think because I had the knowledge already of rugby, we helped the school really play to the top level. But unfortunately,
makes sense.
We did not win, but I think we got through several semi-finals. Yeah.
Okay. And before Heathens, of course, you had...
Before Heathens, I played with Buffaloes, but I played with Buffaloes while I was still in school. So they used to come and pick me up from Crimland to come for training, then pick me up to come for games. So it was quite nice. It was quite nice.
You've been MVP all through, eh?
I think so.
Kind of planned. Eh? And then how does Heathens see this kid and they're like, no, we need him?
So back then, what happened is, for you to play for Heathens or Buffaloes, we used to have trial games. So they put us all in two teams, then they choose one team. For the other side, then they choose another team. So you all play. Then the coaches and selectors see who is the best fit to play for Heathens. And as a young man, very excited, I had the skill. I decided to fit in very well. I had a very good trial. And I think the first person who spotted talent in me was Coach Tolbert Onyango.
Onyango, yes.
He told the selectors that Michael is going to be something else. You need to give him a chance to come and play for Heathens. And I think it opened so many doors for me.
At that time, did you even know which position you were playing, or you were just running around?
I completely didn't know which position I was going to play because in high school, I was a fullback. Yeah, I used to play fullback, and I loved it so much. But I can tell you, Andrew, club rugby is different. My very first game for Heathens, I was at fullback because when I came from high school, I told the guys, you know what? I'm a fullback. I want to play fullback. I love the position. Give me a chance to prove myself. So they're like, no problem. You want to play fullback? Have it. We go to Entebbe. Back then was House of Pain. It was just behind Entebbe SS. They used to call it House of Pain.
Yeah.
So this young man being given a very big task against Mongers. He's a fullback. Let the games go on. I kit up, number 15, playing with the lives of Sogi, Matthias Ocho, Brian Tabaruka, but I'm their fullback. So game goes on very well. Began the first 10 minutes well. And then things started happening that I could not imagine as a rugby player, a very young man. So during the game, one of the Mongers players kicks the ball really high. And you know you're the one at the back. So you're the fullback, you need to get the ball. So he kicks the ball very high and I have to jump for the ball. So I go for the ball and there are guys who are charging at me. So by the time I reach up and I'm getting down, the next thing, I was being smashed. They smashed me on the ground and my knees all get messed up and I knocked on the ball. So the doctors come and work on me and they say, can you play? Are you fine? If you can't play, we know you're young. We can put you out. I'm like, no, I am good to go.
Oh, wow.
So we continue playing. They do the same thing. They kick the ball up, come back down, same thing, knock on. So they had to take me out. I stayed out injured for 2 weeks. So the coach at that time comes and talks to me. He's like, Michael, are you sure you can play fullback? We see so much talent in you, but I don't think this is a number for you. Can we try and look for another number that you can play? I'm like, I'm good enough. And I had the skill, the speed, the knowledge of the game. They're like, maybe let's try second center. So the next game we had after 2 weeks was against Pirates. And
when you were coming back from injury?
Yes, when I was coming back from injury. It was against Pirates. Because I don't think Heathens would want me to play fullback against Pirates. They would have killed me. So they're like, no, let's tell a number for you. How about we try number 13? So they put me on the team for number 13 against Pirates. And back then there were lives of Felix Lubega, Anthony Chinene, those big names. Then he said to Kate. So I'm like, okay, fine, I will try it. I have the skill, the speed and all that. And they put me on the team, starting, not even on the bench, starting. Because at that time, Heathens had a challenge with number 13. They had number 12s, but they did not have a number 13. So they gave me that opportunity to try out number 13 and see if I would fit in. So we play against Pirates. We go to Legends. I was timid a bit, like butterflies and all that, because Pirates was a big team then. Though they were not winning trophies. They have just started winning trophies and they're very excited now. But they were a big team then, though.
Yeah.
So we play, and I do my thing as a player. Naturally, I knew how to tackle, I knew how to carry in the ball, and everyone was wondering, who is this kid? Where is he from? He's doing a very great job. And people were surprised, actually. They were telling them, no, the kid is 19 years, he's just fresh from high school. And everyone was surprised that second half, they took me out after 10 minutes, and guys were like, why did they take out that kid? I think he has a big future, and that was the opening of Michael becoming the number 13 for the longest of my playing.
So they couldn't notice that this kid was being hammered 2 weeks ago.
At fullback. And now he's doing wonders at number 13. So Andrew, that was the time I stood in as number 13, opened doors for me for Uganda. Uganda called me that very year to play for Uganda. And I went on to play that number 13 until I retired from Uganda. Though they still needed me to play, but I retired from Uganda as a 13, and I retired from Heathens as a number 8, because I played 13 and went and played number 8. Yeah, yeah.
And then when does your first title arrive?
So my first title arrived at Heathens in 2010. Yeah, because when I joined in 2008, we didn't win. Actually, 2009 is when the first title of Heathens arrived.
Okay.
When I joined in 2008, we didn't win, but we won the Uganda Cup. 2009, we actually won everything. We won both the Uganda Cup and then won both the league. Yeah.
Okay. And 13 titles, Michael. Not every other rugby player can say the same.
Yeah, because I think I've had that determination as a player, and I really wanted to put a mark on Heathens and a legacy that will not be broken easily.
Yeah.
Because I think Mubiru is the most I think, capped player for Heathens. I don't know. He has more caps than me. And I think he has won more titles than me. But I am glad that I'm also putting my hand up there and say, we once had a Michael Wokorach playing for Heathens and he did ABCD, very wonderful things. Yeah.
But after this show, you need to go to Alex. Alex is my friend.
I know.
He keeps saying, let these guys first come. I'll come to the show. I'm like, but you man.
He's trying to build the confidence.
Yeah, but I mean, 18 years at a club. Why? The other clubs?
I think it comes down to loyalty.
Yeah.
Heathens opened doors for me, and I would say Chadondo opened doors for me. And through rugby, I've achieved a lot with Chadondo and Heathens. Not just in the rugby circles, but also life and my professional career. Because when I joined Heathens, I was joining campus. And then after campus, I needed something so that I play rugby, but I also have something I can always fall back to. That in case one day I don't play rugby, I have my professional career going on. So me being at Chadondo got me my first job and me playing for Heathens. Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
So I was looking for a job because I did procurement.
Okay.
So I was looking for an opening to start up my professional career. So there's this one white lady, she's called Marion Castelline, and I thank her very much, saying it on camera. I thank her very much for giving my first job ever to start working. So I meet her up at Chadondo, but through connections, because I talked to Andrew Wall. I told him I did procurement, and he says, no, I know someone. Let me set up a meeting and you talk to the person and then see what they can tell her for you. So he sends me a number. He's like, approach her and see what she tells you. So I call her. She sets up a meeting with me. I go to her office. She's like, okay, what do I do for you? So I tell her, I'm looking for a job. She's like, have you graduated? I told her, not yet, but I'm waiting for graduation. That was about 2011. She's like, okay, do you think you're capable of working? I told her, I'm a determined man. I can do anything because, I play rugby. Determination.
If you're not disciplined,
exactly. The discipline is there and all that. Because at that time, I was getting to the captainship. I was already captain of assistant captain of Uganda, and as the captain of the sevens team for Uganda. So she looked at me and she's like, okay, let me think about it. But just let me know when you want to start in case you're ready about it.
Okay.
So I told her, in 2 weeks, I'm ready to start. She's like, okay, come back in 2 weeks. We shall prepare for you. And Andrew, I can tell you I got my job. Even when I graduated, they didn't see my papers.
You just continued?
I just continued working. And I worked in that company for 8 years. 8 years. But the connection, I'm telling you, is it was more of rugby. That during my job time with them, they always let me go for any rugby game. Whether it's a tournament, I'm going out of the country, if I'm going to stay for 2 weeks, 1 month, it's rugby. Go and represent. And I really thank them because they treasured the passion I had for the game and also for the job.
Yeah.
Because I would go on rugby trips and I'm still working. They would see me sending emails and all that. They're like, how does this guy do it? He's supposed to be concentrating on rugby and forgetting about work. But because I really needed to show that it's not about rugby that you gave me the job, but I have the potential and I'm competent enough to even do the work when I'm on tour.
Michael, when you went to play and represent the country, even at Heathens, and the next day you're in the papers, back pages, you're on TV, you go back to work. How is it like?
So one thing I always do is whenever I go on an interview, I always talk about my job. I tell them, guys, I have a company that hired me and I need to make them know that this guy is representing Uganda. So it's always good for them because all the time I would be on the back page, they would pin me on the board at office. They're like, this is the guy. So there's no staff who would say, but this guy has gone for too long. What type of leave does he have? Everyone would be quiet because they know I'm going to represent the country. And the good thing is almost of the articles, they would mention the company name somewhere. So it is good mileage for them. And it brought a lot of business for them as well. Yeah.
When you won your title and you went office the next week or day?
No, the next day they would tell me, take leave.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they would wait for you when you come back?
Yeah, they would wait for me, and some of them would prepare maybe a cake for me and sema and kongs and all that. It was quite good. It was quite good.
The people at work, didn't they also want to like do something where they are loved like you?
You know, when God opens doors for you, he really does so much for you. He overshows off. So everyone would envy me because I'm playing for Uganda, I'm being favored at work, I'm being given unlimited leave and all that. But I used not to misuse them. It was strictly, if it's rugby, it is rugby. So they envied me definitely. And you can't change the fact that maybe if I can't play sports, there's nothing much I can do. I just have to envy this man and appreciate him and maybe support him. Yeah.
Of the 13 titles at Heathens, do you have any pickouts, say 1 or 2 or 3, where you're like, this sticks with me?
2013, 2015. Those are the years I was the USPA Player of the Year. So those ones definitely, I really did so much because as the MVP for the league, I was the USPA Player of the Year, both 2013 and 2015. So those ones definitely, they go in my books as one of my best titles I've won. And the good thing about 2013 is that is when I became the captain of the Heathens team. So that also added added on the memories and the good times for the game. So those were my most I think valued trophies that I won, 2013 and 2015. Yeah,
it's quite a career at one club. I'm sure players came and left.
So many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I asked you in the 18 years,
yeah.
You've won so many titles that I think there are years you stayed at Heathens. So of the 18 years, there's been, generations and all. If I asked you to name your best sevens that you played with, for Heathens.
My best 7 players?
Yeah.
Definitely, I will not leave out the boys who first took me to the rugby club. So Chris Lubanga, Branch Kawa, Benon Kiza. I'll not forget Philip Wokorach, definitely. Matthias Ocho, Alex Muviru, definitely.
You are going to have problems, my friend.
Alex Muviru. Yes. I think I didn't play so much with Brian Tabaruka, but I would also put Brian somewhere there. The list is quite long, but I think those were one of the pillars. The late Robert Seguya, because he did so much for me in rugby. He was one of my mentors. He brought me into the sport. When I joined Heathens, he showed me the way how to do things. He helped me shape my rugby knowledge, and he was one of the guys who would actually pick me up from school when I was still in St. Lawrence to come and play rugby. So he did so much for me, and may his soul rest in peace. And I think he was one of the big pillars for me. So those are the names I can give you, and those are the people who helped me settle in Heathens. Apparently they all left, and I remained playing, but I've also now left, and I think in that generation, I don't think there's any player anymore, because Scott left and went to Cobb. So right now, the whole Heathens team just has newbies.
So you are the last dance of that generation?
The last dance of that generation.
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll go to you'll also name some when we get to the national team. Maybe you'll just increase or reduce some, and then you'll pay for it. Heathens.
Yeah.
I know they gave you the opportunity. I know they gave you the chance, but how was it like to play for them? As a player, the management, I'm sure management maybe changed. You stayed too long. Some people left and all.
Yeah.
How did they treat you? How did they look at you?
I think one thing I know about Heathens, it values its players. And also Heathens being a club with a lot of heritage is a good thing. Because Heathens was founded from Kampala Rugby. They used to play at Kampala Rugby before they came over and founded Heathens. And the good thing about it is that the organization at the club is amazing. They have a structure they follow. They recognize the senior players and they give them responsibilities. I think that's what has helped me at Heathens. And they throw so much at you that even when a new player comes to Heathens, they know the channels of communication. They know who's the senior, who they can approach, and who they can't. And I think Heathens has helped me with that so much. And that's why I was also actually shaped very well to go on and play for national team and also be the captain.
I know Heathens, national team, then you have work, you have family that you go to.
Yeah.
But I also know that it was amateur sports.
Yeah.
There are some hidden or untold sacrifices that you must have made.
True. So the job I was talking about, where I worked 8 years, we were hit badly by a credit crunch, and then it was almost during COVID period. So the job had to let go of me because when they looked at who is more important in the company, I was put in a corner. Why? Because I had two things I was doing. I was working while doing rugby. So they had to sacrifice me because most of my time was devoted to rugby. So me, in my head, I definitely know I lost the job because of rugby. Because I sacrificed a lot for rugby while I was juggling my professional career. And it hit me really rock bottom badly because from end of 2019 up to end of 2021, I had no job, Andrew. I was on the streets, not struggling though, but the streets, they mean you're not working. So as in between looking for work, I got a consultancy with UCF, Uganda Conservation Foundation. I did some bit of it, some bit of work to help me keep going. And I thank Mike Kegwin for that. He's one of the pioneers and guys of Chadron. He's a white guy. And it was quite tough because you going through COVID without a job. It's never easy. But I did not lack. God helped me so much. I did not lack because I'd saved quite a lot. I'd saved some good money when I was in my period of working, and also some money through rugby and all that. I did not work. There was no rugby. There was no nothing. So there was no way we would earn any money. Because most of the times when we were playing rugby, we would earn some small money here and there from the trips we make, from the allowances we get and all that. But in between those years, it was quite tough because it was 2019, 2020, and then 2021 going through the end. But Andrew, God opened a door for me that was big. I don't know how many applications I threw into different corporate companies, but things did not work. And then there's this one opening I tried. It was one of my last resort. And I threw in my application and they looked at my CV because every time I throw in my CV has my rugby CV as well. Because it's strong to put a sports CV because people know what sportsmen can do. They are efficient, they are determined, they're hardworking and all that.
Very disciplined as well.
Very disciplined because for you to be a sportsman, you have to be disciplined. So when they look at my CV, they're like, yeah, he's quite good, and being a captain for Uganda definitely gives them more mileage. So I get this one call one day. I'm like, okay, there is an opening, put in your CV. I put in my CV and I did a couple of interviews online because during that period was COVID and all that. And I happened to land myself a very, very good job, Andrew. So I currently work with CNOOC Uganda Limited, which is an oil and gas company. And
is that the job?
Yeah, it's a job I'm doing right now. So they did so much for me because when I got the job, I elevated myself, and I've been there for the last end of November this year will make 5 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. So I forgot about what happened in between those 2 years of COVID. And here I am right now. I played rugby I played rugby while I was working, and I think it was good for them because they saw someone different. And someone who was determined to come to work and do his work, however, still representing Uganda and still playing. And yeah, the company treasures me quite a lot. And I do good things for the company because I do my assignments and fulfill everything the company gives to me.
They'll be watching.
Yes, I hope they do. I'll send the podcast to them to watch.
Send it to them.
So a shout out to them, CNOOC Uganda Limited, and thank you for employing me from where I've come from, and also treasuring me that I'm a sportsman and I also represent the country. So
CNOOC, since you employ a sportsman, clearly you know we matter to you. So perhaps you need to come to this podcast as well and see what we can do together. Okay, that's also gone through. Before we leave Heathens, Is that where that dark moment happened, where you broke your jaw?
Yes. So
2016.
It happened in CNOOC. And
sorry, at Heathens.
Sorry.
you didn't play for CNOOC.
No,
Come
I
on.
didn't play for CNOOC. It was at
Yeah,
Heathens. It was
yes.
at Heathens in 2016. So I think that has been one of the most challenging moments for me, because I'd not got an injury of that kind of magnitude, because you rarely hear rugby players breaking jaws. I don't know if you've heard of any.
Boxers.
It's
perhaps.
boxers
Yeah.
who break jaws.
Yeah.
But I broke a jaw, and in a very funny way. So there's this one training session that we were having at Chadondo before a game. So it was more like the usual training sessions we have, not very tough, because it was a Thursday before a game on Saturday. So a ball was kicked up. I think I don't like balls being kicked again. So I jumped for the ball with my fellow teammate. We all jumped for the ball and we tried to get the ball. But my teammate jumped higher than me. And when he jumped higher than me, while we were landing, his elbow landed on my jaw.
And it's a teammate,
Yes,
not
it's
an
a
opponent.
teammate, yes.
Yeah.
And it was not even foul play or anything.
Yeah.
It was just being unlucky.
Yeah.
So I get down on the ground and I feel there's a sharp pain straight away. So I remained on the ground and called the medic. I'm like, you know what? I'm not feeling very okay.
Are you talking?
I was talking. I was
Yeah.
talking.
Okay.
I feel some discomfort. And it's like, I think it's just the usual hits that we get, and you felt the pain. The impact is really sharp. I'm like, no, I think this is different. He's like, no, don't worry. I'll give you some painkillers. Maybe it will wear off. So I leave the training ground very uncomfortable, in proper discomfort. I go home. And yes, I go home and I want to have a meal. Yeah. So I put food in my mouth. And my jaws are not clicking together, like to grind the food.
Yeah.
So I just end up swallowing the food like the whole night, just so that I have something in my tummy. So the next day, I called the doctor. I'm like, you know what? I am not fine. I need help.
Yeah.
He's like, let me give the contact of a doctor in Zambia, sorry, in Nakasero, who's going to try and help you. So I called the doctor. I'm like, Doc, I need to come and see you. He's like, no, you come to the clinic and let's see what the problem is. So I go to him. I tried to eat breakfast in the morning and I failed. I would only take juice because I could not chew anything. And I didn't want to put in food before I can chew. So I go to him. He's like, what's the problem is? I tell him I feel some sharp pain and it has been for the last, I think, 2-3 days. It's like, we need to take an X-ray.
Did he ask you where you
Yeah, he asked me. I narrated everything.
Okay.
I narrated everything to him. But surprisingly, that weekend, I tried to play a game because I got the injury on Thursday. On Saturday, we had a game against Impis. So I tried to play, but there was some discomfort. I was not playing like the normal way I was supposed to play. So we talk about it. He's like, I need to take an X-ray of your jaw and just see if there's a problem. So I'm like, fine, since I want to be well. So he takes the X-ray and he comes with bad news. He's like, Michael, do you know what? You have a fracture on your jaw. But I asked him, but doc, how? How do I get a fracture on my jaw? People don't normally get these things. I'm not a boxer. No, I did not take a punch.
Yeah.
So he says, no, the elbow you took actually cracked your jaw. And at that time, I did not have a mouth guard on during training. So we sit down for options of how we can fix this. So he gives me 2 options. Like, the first option is to cut, and put a plate. So when you put a plate, it's so that your jaw doesn't move. It stays in one position so it can heal. You get. The second option is to wire your mouth together. So that...
How?
They put wires. So they put wires from the upper jaws, the lower jaws, and then in front. You get it? Wow. So they pass wires through your gum.
Okay.
Yeah, up. Then they pass wires through the down gums.
Okay.
And then up through your gum.
The front as well?
The front.
So literally your mouth is closed?
Yes. Your mouth is... Yes.
For how long?
So he told me it will be closed for 6 weeks. But 6 weeks, come for a review. Then we decide. So he gave me those 2 options and he said, the one for wiring is cheaper than the one for cutting. So when I had all those options, I'm like, Doc, is there a way I can heal without going through this process? He's like, Michael, it is impossible. Because me, my decision was like, let me go and heal like a dog. You know how dogs heal? They don't do so much. Naturally.
Yeah.
So he tells me that, I'm like, Doc, you know what? I'm not ready for any of these options. I can't do them. He's like, Michael, the best way is for you to get this fixed so that he doesn't get septic. I'm like, Doc, no, I cannot handle. First of all, you wearing my job, I'm not ready. You putting a plate, I have a bad skin because I get keloid scars when you cut. I tell him I'm not ready for any of these. It's like, if you want, you go. You'll come back alone. So I leave. So I leave, I go away, and still, I was in discomfort. I could not chew, I could not do certain things. After 2 days, I go back to him. I'm like, Doc, you know what? Do whatever you can do.
Did he smile when you went back?
Very much. He said, Michael, I told you you're going to come back. I told you you're going to come back. So I chose the wires.
Okay.
I chose the wires because they looked easier.
Yeah.
But they were tough. So he told me, these wires are tough. You're not going to talk. You're not going to feed. Because when they wire your mouth, you can't eat meat. You cannot eat solid food. You're going to go on a liquid diet. He told me all that. He said, even when we put a plate, you cannot eat hard food. You get. So I told him, Doc, but can't I just be there and I'm not talking and I'm not eating? He's like, you can't. We need to wire you because you'd want to talk, you'd want to do certain things. So I accept the procedure. He says, okay, we're going to do it. So he does everything. And it was really tough because you imagine passing needles in your gum, how painful it would be. So he did that. And then before he put the wires together, finally, he said, say your last words. I'm going to wire you together. So he wired me together and he told me it's going to be tough because your tongue is not going to move for so long because you imagine you just put your jaws, put your teeth together like this and imagine how you'll be. Your speech is not going to be clear.
Like that's oppression. Do you remember your last words?
I don't remember.
Okay,
I don't remember them. But I was not very happy when you told me to tell my last words because there are no words I would tell him. So he did that and he told me you're going to use hydrogen, is it peroxide, to clean your mouth so that it doesn't decay. I would only brush the top of my mouth. And then the good thing, Andrew, is I have a gap, a natural gap. But he told me if I did not have a gap, I was supposed to spare one tooth. He was going to remove one tooth.
To create gap for feeding.
To create a gap for
liquid.
Yes, for the straw.
Okay.
And that's what happens. If you don't have a gap, he has to remove one tooth, keep it. When you're done, he'll come and put it back. So he told me, you're going to go on a liquid diet. You're going to lose weight. I had to do that. When I left, he said, bushera, yogurt, soup are going to be your birthdays for the next 6 weeks. I left. Things were tough, very tough. I would go to work. I see guys going for lunch. Me, I can't go for lunch. I have to stay in office and do my usual things. So every morning, I would have to prepare my meal for the day. And just to say this, Andrew, I would spend 3 days without going to the toilet.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing to pass out. I would only just maybe go and have a pee. So it was really a tough moment, but
6 weeks.
I did 6 weeks. I ran back to him. I'm like, Doc, today I'm ready. These wires are going off. He says, no, it's not. We can't just do it like that. I gave you 6 weeks just to assess. So I go back. He tells me we need to do another x-ray just to know that the crack went back to position. He does one. He's like, Michael, not yet. Let's do another 2 weeks. So after 2 weeks, I was strong enough. I was strong at heart, but that was the time I actually thought about retirement. And I'm like, I can't go through this pain. I'm not eating for 6 weeks. Someone is supposed to eat because, Andrew, I compared...
Plus an extra 2.
Exactly. I compared that injury to other injuries. I'm like, guys, there's no injury tough like an injury that puts food in your mouth. People break limbs, they go for surgery, but they can still eat. They can use the toilet. But me, I could not do any of those.
And people see you walking and everything is okay, but it's not.
It's not. So me, I think that is like the most traumatizing injury ever. You can't eat. You can't use the toilet. You can't yawn, Andrew. I could not yawn because every time I would try to yawn, I would feel like the wires want to come out. So I would try and, like, you imagine trying to yawn, then you pull it back in. That was the situation. I was like, oh, then
Michael, let me get this
put it
clear.
in.
When those wires were on,
Mm.
you could not talk.
I could talk, but you needed to come closer to me.
Oh.
You get?
So you could still separate your teeth, the upper teeth and the lower teeth.
You can't because the wires were right in the middle.
So you speak like the way I'm talking.
Yes,
like
yes. That's how I talked
Like-
for 8 weeks. Like Andrew, the conversation like that. 8 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. But after 8 weeks, I go into a successful, takes out the wires, I run straight to KFC. It's like, Michael, start slowly. It's like, Michael, you need to start slow. You need to start slow. You need to start practicing the job. Because when I did 6 weeks,
Yeah.
my main aim was to go and eat chicken.
Yeah. I
So
can
when
imagine.
I went to him, I was prepared. I'm like, 6 weeks are done. The next thing, the
KFC.
nearest KFC.
Yeah.
When I went there, he gave me bad news. He's like, Michael, we can't do it. Give me another 2 weeks. I went back after 8 weeks. He removed the wires. I told him, Doc, I'm going for a bucket right now. He's like, Michael, go easy on it. You need to
I
practice.
go easy.
You need to practice your jaw. You need to get the exercises going before eating. Yeah. So
What
yeah, it was
an
quite tough.
experience.
Yeah.
What? I can't believe this.
I tell people my story and people think I'm joking, but it was not an easy one. It was
Michael.
not an easy one, yeah.
See, I'm feeling pain.
That's the pain I went through. Reality and real life.
So how do you go through all that and you continue playing rugby?
Man, rugby is a sport that is hard to live because it builds character, it brings people together and all that. And also the fact that I loved the sport so much. It did so much for me, it opened doors and all that. I thought about the retirement, but after the wires were removed, I'm like, maybe I need to give it a second chance. And when I gave it a second chance, I actually achieved more playing rugby than I had achieved before that injury.
We'll get to that.
We'll
get to that.
Exactly.
But you
So-
must have had a conversation with yourself and God.
Yes, I did. I even wrote
should
some
I-
articles. I think Michael he's considering retirement, but I talked to my family and they're like, if you still can, then you don't have to retire at this age. You can still push on for another, maybe a few more years. And then after that, I played for another 9 years. Yeah.
And in those 9 years,
So much I achieved in those 9 years. So much more than actually I achieved in the years before.
yeah,
Yeah.
Michael, man, that injury, I'm still trying to go around
Yeah,
it.
it was
And,
tough. It was tough.
When you went back to the club,
So I go back to the club and I tell guys, but you see, the thing is, Andrew, I was very determined that I even tried to go and train when I had my wires on. And I did a lot of training actually. But I lost 11 kgs after they removed the wires. You would even see my cheekbones. Because you losing 11 kgs in 2 months. Not because you want, but because of the situation.
stress, you were not eating.
I was not eating, I was stressed up and all that. So it was tough. So
Who did you have at home at the time?
I had no one. I was staying alone. Staying alone, wake up in the morning, shower, go to work. Come back in the evening. One thing I avoided is the party life. Because you would want to do the party life, then you have an urge to eat some meat in the morning. So I avoided going out or going to hang out with friends because I didn't want to get that situation where I need to eat something and yet I'm still on a liquid diet. So I avoided that. Every time I would go for a game at Chadondo, watch a game, back home. But these are the challenges we go through in life and they make us become tougher. Because I can tell you, I told you already, after 2016, I became a more tougher player. I knew how to handle myself better. I knew how to handle my body better and to manage the game aspects. Yeah. And I'd lived that long until I got that injury last year. I was injury free. Yeah.
Philip Wokorach,
Yeah.
your brother. I don't know how many people know that he's not your blood brother.
He's not my blood brother.
He's your cousin, but your brother. Around that time, where was he? Was he at the same club with you?
Yes, he was at the same club, but then a year later he left and went to Cabras in Kenya. Yeah. But he was at the same club during that time when I got injured.
You were staying alone,
Yeah,
going through all that hardship.
Philip was also staying on his own.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who is that person that you called? I know you are also struggling to talk, but who did you talk to apart from God?
You see, I didn't want to isolate myself quite a lot because, like I said, I would go to the rugby club and then maybe after work I would go to the rugby club and just find people to talk to so that I don't feel like I'm alone. And then after I go home and I rest, in the morning I go to work. So I made it a routine for me not to be alone on my own, but to try and talk to people and go through my life normally. So that people actually even took long to realize that my jaw was injured because I was not talking much. I would just stay normally. Since it was not like an injury you see physically, but was more of an inner injury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The national team, a combined number of years, 15, as captain.
Yeah. In
between.
Yeah.
You had spells.
Yeah.
Being called on the national team, I just want to know the feeling of that, and then being confirmed as the national team captain.
So I've also had disappointments that it was not a walk in the park for me to get to the national team. I had to work hard to get in there. I remember in 2009, when Uganda was going to play a World Cup qualifier, we were going to play Tunisia. We brought in the late Chester Williams as the coach. Now, Chester came with...
That was his second coming.
Yes, that was his second coming.
Yeah.
Because he was here in 2017.
Yeah.
So they call a pool of players.
2007.
Six.
Preparing the team of 2007 to win.
Yes, to win the African Cup.
Yes.
They won the one in Madagascar.
Yes.
So he comes back for his second time and he's trying to get Uganda to the World Cup. And we had a Tunisia game. So the rugby union summons players who they felt were ready for the call-up. And in there was this Michael Wokorach who had excited the rugby community, excited the union, and they felt I would have put up my hand to represent Uganda and try to get them to the World Cup. So they call a pool of players, and then Chester Williams is given as the head coach. He comes in, and they present to him players because remember he was not around. He could not name his players he needed. So they present to him players, and he starts working with them. And I was this small guy, small, tall. I didn't have the muscles I have now. I had to work for them, but I had the brains. I was exciting. I had the speed and all that, the skill. So we trained, and the late Chester Williams had the mentality that he needed guys who have the size. Because I remember he even played Robert Seguya, who was big as a scrum half. And yet Robert Seguya was a flanker. So we make training and we do the training and all that. And I got my first disappointment ever. I was dropped. The reasons why I was dropped is because I was small and I didn't have that much experience. But it didn't, me being dropped, I was disappointed definitely, but I was also not sure what the future was going to hold in that game because it was a big game and I was not really ready to represent the country. However much, I was excited about the call-up, but I was not ready what to expect. So I was not very disappointed. I'm like, let me take the lessons and let me work on myself and get stronger and maybe go to the gym. So after the tour was done, the late Chester leaves Uganda, and then they summon again all the players who were dropped plus the ones who were part of the team. And that's how I got my first cap and call-up. So
Is that Tolbert?
No, that was Coach Kasasa at that time. Was because after Chester left, Kasasa was given as the coach. So he called back everyone who he thinks would work together with him. So I got my first call-up and I got my first cap, and we played in Ngong Road in Nairobi. Yeah. So, like I said, I got disappointed, but I did not give up. I kept working hard. and eventually got my first call-up. Until the time I decided to step away. No one chased me, by the way, from the national team. It was my decision.
Which time is that?
In 2000 and 2019.
Okay.
I had a mini retirement, and then I said, why would I? Let me come back and represent Uganda. So I came back in 2022, 2023, and I played again. That's how I made the 52 caps.
Okay.
The 54
54.
caps. Yeah.
But before that, of course, you missed out on 2016 when we win our first Rugby Africa Sevens
Yes.
title.
Yes.
Your brother Philip was heavily in that.
Yeah.
And then finally, you lay your hands on the same title
Yeah.
in 2017.
True.
Just how did that feel?
What I can tell you, to be honest, those boys surprised me when they won that 2016.
The 2016, yes.
Yeah, because that time I had gone to Malawi for a work mission, and I could not take part, but I was still part of the system. And at that time, I was actually still the captain, but because I had traveled, they had to give the captainship to Eric Kasita.
Kasita, yes.
Yeah. So it was a very big surprise, and I can tell you, even us as Uganda were surprised that actually we won that trophy. But we had started this work before. So being surprised, but also accepting that we had worked for it, towards it. But we did not think it was that time. We were still working for it. But it came as, I think, how do I say it? It came in the middle of our hard work into bigger things. So we won it, and it was something very good because it opened so many doors for Uganda. So when I came back, the team was excited, and we were going to Dubai we were going for Dubai and Cape Town in the next SHB series that was supposed to happen in 2017. Why? Because we won the African Cup.
And also that Africa Cup was just not any other Africa Cup. You beat Kenya in the semis.
Exactly. We beat Kenya in the semis, then beat Namibia.
In Nairobi.
In Nairobi.
I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, it was quite huge. And the boys really put up their hands and played very well.
Yeah.
So the next year, we were invited for Dubai and Cape Town. And then after that, the following year again, we came back and won the African Cup, which got us to our first World Cup. Back to back. Which got us to our first World Cup. And then also gave 2018. And also gave us a chance to play the Commonwealth. So we had so many exciting moments.
So we get out of the Africa Rugby Sevens, the title. Then we go to the World Cup, San Francisco.
Yeah.
I mean, playing in the World Cup.
See,
just
it was a moment.
Take us there.
It was a moment that we did not see ourselves going to the World Cup. We had the tournament at Legends.
Yes.
And I remember the pass I gave Adrian Casito was the one that took us to the World Cup, which was an amazing moment because I made the pass to Adrian. Adrian scored a try that was against Zim, and we lifted the trophy, getting a ticket to the World Cup and the Commonwealth. And the World Cup...
We beat Zim 28-0, right?
No. It was... The game ended, I think, 15-12, if I remember very well.
That game, I think the World Cup...
It was either 7...
No, that's 2022.
That's different. That's different.
This was 10-7.
10-7 at Legends.
10-7.
Yeah, because Zim was leading 7, we had 5.
Yeah.
So when Adrian scored, we had 10. And it was the last play of the game.
Yeah.
Now, getting us to the World Cup, definitely the World Cup is the biggest stage in rugby. Everyone would want to play in the World Cup. And here it was Uganda going to their first Sevens World Cup. It was quite amazing because you're playing against the best of the best, the cream de la cream. You're playing with New Zealand, you're playing with Fiji, you're playing with Ireland, you're playing with Australia, big teams, USA and all that. So we go to San Francisco and it's an amazing experience where, man, the organization was out of this world because from the hotel setups, you're sleeping in 5 stars, they're taking you like kings, you're being escorted, there's army all over and all that. Very good experience. And us going to a stadium that has, I don't think I've ever played in a stadium that has like 80,000 fans. We just see these things on TV, maybe Premiership and all that, but we're in that moment. And I can tell you there was even me, that played for some time, there was stage fright. I was feeling it because, man, their voices all over and the whole world is looking at you. But it was quite good. It was an experience for us. We didn't do so well.
Yeah.
Because definitely we're playing against clubs countries that have really invested so much in the sport, and they are way, way above us.
You know, when you qualified and people at work were trying to, how shall we do and all, and we were content that the fact that we are going to play is enough.
Is enough.
We qualified, we are going to play at the World Cup.
True.
That's enough.
Yeah.
But going there and experiencing this, Michael, the organization, the way, how much these people take the game serious, it's two complete worlds. Different, sorry.
True.
Yeah.
Different. You see the difference when you just get to the airport, the way they pick you up, the way they talk to you, the way things are organized. Then you see another difference when you get to the hotel. They welcome you in a different way. Things are done very differently. And that is the kind of World Cup experience. So to me, it was something really good. And I had written somewhere in my CV that I played in a World Cup. I've experienced ABCD, and to go down in the books that my first World Cup was in San Francisco.
You know, we used to talk about the late John Nagenda as the Ugandan who played at the Cricket World Cup. And now we have
the Rugby Sevens.
The Rugby Sevens. Of course, we have the Shikrens.
Yes.
Football can't say anything about that. Okay, under 17. We did Qatar the other day. But man, well done.
Thank you.
Well done flying our flag. Then you have that mini retirement, 2019, you say?
Yeah, 2019, I went into a mini retirement because my plans actually for the US started in 2019.
Okay.
So I thought that was my last game because I had a plan of doing other things for myself. And I thought maybe that would be my last game, and then I get into the bigger world. So I decided to play my last game and tell the country guys, you know what, this is it. I'm done with the 15s, not the 7s.
Yes.
Because the 7s, I left it pending because I knew there was some more to come up. So I left the 15s. I'm like, I'm done. And I had my last game in Zambia. I played my 51st cup, and then I decided to say I'm done with the 15s. Let me maybe concentrate on the 7s, because you realize playing both chords, you need a lot of energy. And 7s was really draining me so much that I just needed to focus on one, because at that time also the age was trying to catch up with me and all that, because I'd played for a long while. So I decided to leave the 15s and then concentrate on the 7s. Yeah. It was quite emotional because I had done so much for the 15s team. So me leaving them like that was quite emotional, but I had to make a decision. And I made my decision. I said, no, let me give it a break for now. But it was not actually a break. My decision was, I'd be done.
Do you have someone you're consulting in these decisions, or you just have this strong conviction of
Family.
Yeah.
Then a few of my mentors, I definitely consult them and say, man, this is the decision I'm going to make. And my mentors are not just rugby. They're also in my other world, professional world and all that. Yeah.
Okay. And then, of course, we come back 2022.
Come back 2022.
As captain.
No, the 2022 as captain of 7s.
Of 7s, yes.
7s.
The Africa Rugby 7s.
Yeah, because I was still the captain.
Yes.
I had not yet said I'm done with the 7s. Yeah. 2022 was a movie. I can tell you, Andrew, it was a movie. And man, I'm very glad that tournament was held in Uganda, because so many people talked a lot about me and said, why does Tolly still have Mike on the team and yet he's of age? Yeah. But the man I know who trusted me and who made me the first guy to play for Heathens, like who put me into the Heathens setup, knew exactly what I was capable of.
That's Tolbert Wanyama.
Yes. Yeah. Because at that time, there was also a debate. Do we have to give him as the captain, or we pick someone else? You get? They even had to sit down in a committee and say, no, let's choose who is going to be the captain and who is going to be the vice captain. So, and most times the decision lies with the coach, because the coach knows his players. But this one had to go into the executive committee to see who can captain the team for the 7s, because it was one of the biggest tournaments we were going to host. It was going to be a World Cup qualifier and then also a Commonwealth qualifier. So, like I said, it was a movie, and it was the ending of the movie was very beautiful, because us playing rugby, at home with all those fans was an amazing scene. And also us winning the whole thing, beating Kenya in the semi-finals.
Again.
And yes, and then playing Zim in the finals was quite amazing.
And the final, 28-0.
Yes.
That was some
It was
domination.
it was the cream, icing on the cake.
But 2022, again, it's not just the title. One, the title, but also you as captain.
Yes.
And then, of course, the doubts that you've just talked about. But the same year, you were also at the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
And you had that close shave with Australia.
So,
Yeah.
why I'm saying 2022 was a movie because our journey started with the African Cup. We won the African Cup, then had to go for the Commonwealth. So after the African Cup, we go for the Commonwealth in Australia, in Birmingham. Then after Birmingham, we had an HSB qualifier that was going to be played in Uruguay and in Chile.
And Chile, yes.
You get?
Yes.
So we leave Birmingham and then we fly straight to South America. Play those two tournaments, and that was the year I felt Uganda should have qualified for the Sevens HSBC series. But unfortunately, things did not go as planned. We get to Chile, and things go different because we had planned our path. We knew we were ripe, we had done all the hard work, and this was the time we were supposed to test that big stage. But unfortunately, things turned out different. And it was one trying moment for all the players because there's this one game against German. I don't want to get into details. We should have beaten German. We had beaten German. Everyone knows, the whole world knows we had beaten German. But things happened in the game, and we lost to German.
What happened in the game? The things that happened.
So, I don't blame the officiating, but definitely that was one of the reasons why we did not beat German. And yet, at the end of the tournament, the team that qualified was Uruguay. But we had beaten Uruguay hands down because they were in our pool. We had planned for Uruguay, we beat them hands down, and we knew our stumbling block was German, not even Uruguay, because we knew we would handle Uruguay. But because of how the event of the game happened, we did not manage to beat German because I have explained to you. And Uruguay made it to the what? To the series. Quite disappointing for us. The players were down, their mentors and all that. It was very tough as a captain to actually pull the players back because the next day we were supposed to play some games. But their mentors were down. We had to talk to them and eventually we finished the tournament. But that was also aside. After that tournament, we come back to Uganda. We train. We're going for the World Cup in Cape Town. So the team that we failed to beat in Chile, we had to pay back. We played them in the plate final, and we had to pay our sorrows from Chile, and we ended up winning the plate. And it was, I can tell you, we moved with that plate. We even came and we took it to State House because we knew we had achieved something and on the world scene. So it was an amazing year. And to me, in my books, 2022 was the best year of my rugby career.
The miracle year.
The miracle year. Where so much happened from playing African Cup to finishing it with the World Cup. Amazing.
Are you an emotional person?
Sometimes.
Because looking at, hearing what you're talking about 2022, and also that people didn't think you would deserve to be on the team. No, let alone captaining the team, but being on the team. So when you go back where you are alone,
I reflect a lot. And I say, I'm prayerful, but I don't come out in the open.
Yeah.
I'm a silent prayer. And I talk to God quite a lot on my own. And 22 was a miracle because the year started and players doubted my ability.
Even players?
Yeah. Some players, not so many. But some of them knew what I was capable of doing. The fans would say things behind my back and say, Michael Yagwamo, he can't handle anymore. I don't think he deserves to be on the sevens team. But at the back of my mind, I knew what I needed to do for me to get back. So I worked so hard when in closed door curtains, when no one sees. I was putting in the extra work. I used to do a lot of boxing. I wanted to get in shape and all that. And I think I had a coach who took me through. He's called David. He took me through. He says, Michael, you can get back to where you used to be. because after COVID, we came back, we were all fat. We were not in shape anymore, and I think the coaches and the fans were like, no, he can't handle anymore. So I had to shed off so much weight to be in position for me to show the coach that, you know what, I can still handle, and I just need 1 more year to prove myself and see how far I can go. Yeah.
And that one last dance paid off.
It did, but I kept playing again until 2023, where I finally said, no, I'm done with the sevens. Let me now just concentrate on club rugby, play with Heathens, and then maybe after that, I'll retire very well. So it was a gradual process. I don't just have to leave the sport. I take it step by step. Yeah.
And during this time, you're talking of planning, to go to the States and all, but does it occur to you at some point that maybe you may coach the game?
I hate being under a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And coaching is very stressful, I can tell you.
Yeah.
It's even more stressful than you playing. You playing, you can let go of certain
responsibilities are limited.
But you as a coach, everything will come back to you. Even if it's a player who has made a mistake, they'll come and say you're the coach. You understand? Even if things are not, it's not about the coach is going to give you all that he can give you and then let you do your thing. If you don't do it, they'll come and say the coach. So to me, I feel it's quite stressful, but I can't deny that maybe something would come, but I have a different direction I want to take. Like I was trying to explain to you earlier on, I want to get into rugby agency where I want to trade or to sell Ugandan talent across the globe. So I'm going to open up something as an agency, and I'm going to go and do the studies, the courses, just to try and see if I can become an agent of players and then and get them placements to play professional rugby out of Uganda, ABCD.
I think that's quite awesome. Like we were talking about, one, kudos to your parents that you stayed in school while playing rugby. That's the reason you got employment outside of rugby. But also planning for life beyond active sport, as we were talking about. It's so something that my friends and I are working on, include with Alex as well, Mubiru. And you guys in rugby have been quite supportive of it. Yeah. We would want you also to be part of it.
I'm ready.
We have, you still around, we have our Legends Marathon.
I will definitely take part.
I know by the time this airs, it will have happened, but definitely you'll take part. And the whole point that I was talking about, I don't know, what's your take on this whole thing of an athlete thinking about their life after this bubble, when we love you, when we support you? What's your take? I know you've done some, commendable job on yourself, because you just didn't retire and go into hiding. You're going to do things. So what would you tell an athlete today?
One, I would tell them is school is very important. If you get an opportunity to do whatever level of school, please do it. Because we can't play this sport forever. There would come a time when you can't handle anymore, and you'll be phased out of whatever you're doing. And you'll definitely leave the sport because you'll outgrow it. So school is very important, that it gives you a fallback position. If you're in school, don't leave school. Stay in school. I managed to balance both. As in school, did my university while playing rugby. Travel if you can, but don't abandon school because you have to travel. That's wrong. You will always find the sport, but education will not find you. So don't leave education behind. Take it together with the sport. Because after the sport, you'll need the education. The greats like Shaquille O'Neal, he made all his money in NBA. But what does he have? He has his masters, he has his things. So he can manage whatever. Let's say you get rich in future. You have so much you have achieved out of sport, and you need to manage your funds. If you've not gone to school, it becomes a bit tough. You understand? So it's very good for you. Stay in school. Like I always tell those young boys whenever I go and talk to them, stay in school. They'll even respect you more. Yeah. They'll be like, Michael has gone to school, he has his degree, he has his masters, and he's playing rugby, he's playing for Uganda. Everyone will give you that respect. But they will not respect you if you've not gone to school and yet you had the opportunity and you're playing the sport. The fame will be limited. It will be for a very short-lived time, and then after you're dying out. I can tell you, Andrew, not to feel good about myself, but I can walk into any service center, and when I get recognized, they will come and say, this is Michael Wokorach. Can we help you? I would skip a queue because of what I've done. I've achieved it, and the knowledge I have. So it gives you that confidence that you're a person of character and people respect you in the society.
And talking of which, of course, you've been a leader since when you were a kid, coming through the national team and Heathens, several generations coming and going. I'm sure the youngsters who come in perhaps come to you for advice.
A lot. I get it, and they disturb me a lot, which I like. I like, because I was not around for 2 months, but there's so much that happened when I was not around. So when I come back, everyone comes and is telling me, ABCD, this is what has been happening. How do we go about this? How do you advise me? And I sit down with them. I advise them. I'm like, you cannot be getting handouts all the time. You need to find something to do. Get your hands dirty. Go and do vocational training. Go and learn a skill. It's very important. So when I went to the US, what happens in the US is that the people who get their hands dirty are the people who earn the most money. Why am I saying this? You'll find a plumber. Here, we undermine plumbers. You know that? But I can tell you plumbers earn a lot of money in the US. Here, we undermine maybe electricians. We undermine carpenters. But those are the highest earning guys. They get a lot of money because just giving an hour of your service, maybe you're going to block unclogged pipes, maybe in the toilet and all that. And they're paying you about £300 for your job, $300 for that job you're doing, which is quite a lot. You get. So that's why I tell kids here, get something. I know in Uganda they're not paying so much money, but for you not to survive on handouts, find a skill you can do. Because being a rugby player is already a skill. There's no way you can't tell me you cannot go and do welding. You can. It needs some bit of school knowledge, but if your hands can do something, use them. And trust me, at the end of it all, you'll be getting some money for you, so that you avoid coming to Wokos, I need, help me, ABCD, and you're making it my problem. And yet you can solve it yourself.
And the advantage that you have is if you're a sportsman and they know you.
Exactly, because
added advantage.
Yes, if you do furniture and you're a sportsman, I would want to come and support you. Like, Michael, I have this, I do furniture, I have these things I can make. I'll be like, no, you know what? Let me come and support you. Because I know your hustle, you're playing rugby and then you're doing carpentry, which is a good thing. Yeah.
Interesting. And then you have the final injury. The final injury, the ACL tear. That's January 2025?
Feb
2025.
Yeah, beginning of Feb.
I'm sure at that point you're like, I think I need to respect what the body is telling me.
Yeah, you know, the older you get, the body becomes weary, yeah? So it was very unfortunate that I got an injury which I did not expect I would have gotten, and it slowed me down a bit. And I think that was also one of the points that I had thinking that maybe I've done enough. I need to rest from the sport, because you don't want to leave the sport when you can't walk anymore.
You need to leave it before it leaves you.
Before it leaves you. Leave it at a good state when you can still do certain things. So I got the injury. It slowed me down for about 2 months. I had to go. Luckily, I did not go for surgery. Because I was talking to you earlier on, the only surgery I've done, which was minor, was my jaw being wired. And it's by the grace of God that you can play for all these years and you've not gone through surgery. I've seen players, even when they've just started their career, after 2 years, they've gone for surgery. So me, it's by the grace of God that He has kept me safe for all these years that I've played rugby without any major surgery that I did. So last year was quite challenging for me, because when I got that tear, which wasn't that bad, it was about 20%, I did not need surgery. All I needed was to do therapy and to rest, and then I heal. And after I did that, I came back into the sport. But you don't come back like you were before. There are some changes. So I came back, and the body was struggling. And I'm like, no, do you know what? Maybe I've done so much. let me retire when I am still capable, and when also the fans still want you to play, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
You don't want fans to start saying, guy, leave us, you've tied yourself on us. So I left when in good hands, and it was good for me to leave because I don't think there's anything I've not achieved, Andrew, in my rugby career. The only thing I would say is I've not gone to the Olympics. You get? But be it the World Cup, be it winning MVP, USPA, name it, I've done it. Titles, I've done it. I don't think there was any chance for me or any better time for me to retire than last year. Because I felt if I'm to wait for the Olympics, when is it going to happen?
Yeah.
It may not happen.
Yeah.
So it's better. I call the shots and say, guys, you know what? It's the end of an era for Michael Wokorach.
Yeah.
Let other people also come and do their thing. And it was good for me. Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah.
Your brother, Philip, we could say perhaps among the playing contingent of Uganda, he's your soulmate or something. How close are you guys?
We are close because he tells me a lot about himself, his plans and all that. And I'm supportive. I've been there, seen him. He got injured twice, went for surgery twice. But one thing I appreciate about him is he never gives up. Because you having 2 surgeries in a space of, I think, 2 years, it's not easy. And for you to come back and play at the biggest scene, it's not an easy thing to do. But God has helped him so much. God has opened so many doors for him. And also with his determination, I think it's good for him because if he had given up before, he would not have achieved what he has achieved. But because he had this mentality of, I need to challenge myself, and he got in places. He played in Kenya, he went to France, he has now played for 2 different clubs in France. And he's still going, he's played in the India Premier League, and he's still going places. So it's really good for him, and the whole Uganda supports him. He's our ambassador. He opened doors for other players. Recently, Adrian also left and went to France. So, never know. He's someone who will build a statue for him at Chadondo and say, this is the pillar, this is the guy who opened doors for everyone to go to Europe and play professional rugby.
How often are you in touch?
Yeah, we are in touch. He tells me about his games, how they are going to go, and yeah, we communicate. Yeah.
Is there anything the 2 of you share privately that we don't know?
Definitely, there are those things that the people who are close to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you share certain things that you're not supposed to put out there to other people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, Michael, you become the first Ugandan rugby player to get a testimonial December 20th.
Yes.
At Chadondo, your spiritual home. Was it finally the moment where you said, I see the love? Just how was it?
Yes. You see, players have come and great players have retired in silence.
Yeah.
Maybe Andrew has been playing, he has played for Uganda, he has done ABCD, then Andrew just vanishes off the scene. He leaves people paining. We don't know whether he has fully retired or he will come back. So I wanted to do it differently so that I share the love with the people who have mentored me, people who have helped me out, and also just let the fans know that, you know what, I have done everything I've done in the sport. It's time for me to hang my boots. And I think it was quite good when I announced that I'm going to do a testimonial. So many sponsors ran to me and said, how can we partner with you? Because you're a brand. You've played the game for so long. You've done so much for the country. You've nurtured talent. You're a role model to people. I'm like, please come in. Let's see what we can do. So Rockboom came on board. Nile Special, who have been #1 rugby sponsor for so long. Ensol came on board. Tamwell Fireworks came on board. Platinum Credit came to support me. Chadondo itself also came and supported me. MTN came and was on board to do the ticketing and all that. So it was an amazing day, and the fans came in big numbers, though the rain tried to distort the tournament, the game, but it went on well. And the idea I had was, let me get the players I played with before and the upcoming stars, and we have a testimonial game.
The Gonya.
Yes,
the team Gonya
yes,
and All Stars.
and All Stars. So the Gonya concept was, let me get the players I've played with on national team, the core guys I've been with who are still playing, to be on my team, and then the other team, I get these players who are raising up their hands to become the Gonya of the next generation.
The next Gonya.
Yes. So I put that concept up together. But one thing I had in my back of my mind was I need to play on both teams. Why?
Yes.
Because I need those guys to have a feel that they have played with Michael before.
Yeah.
Some of them had not played with them before. And I was going to retire before I'd played with them before. So I wanted them to also have a feel of, man, I also played with him.
I shared the field with him.
I shared the field with him. So that was the kind of concept. And it worked out very well. And then after, there was an after party, which was quite amazing. There was fireworks and all that. So to me, my heart was full. I signed out in the right way. And I hope the next generation, if you become, maybe Michael Wokorach, I'm just saying an example, you become a superstar and all that, when you leave the sport, leave it in a better place and make people show you the love that they had for you when you're representing your club, Heathens, or when you're representing your club, when you're representing the country. It's something very good, because what Rock Boom did for me, people keep calling me and telling me, you're on the billboard.
Yeah, I saw you last night as well. I see you every day when
I walked in, your producer was just telling me that. So it's a good feeling, because people appreciate what you've done for the sport, not only for the club, but also for the country.
For the country.
Yeah.
On the 15th of December, you posted on X, it's time to finally close the chapter.
True.
Now, as you get onto your next chapter of the game of life, what does it look like?
It looks beautiful, because I have so much I've planned for after rugby. I still have my job with CNOOC. I'm still working. And there are things that I'm working with. I'm also trying to look for sponsors, of seeing how we can give back to the sport. I'm a mental health activist in sport. I normally attend seminars, talk to players. You know, if you've gone through certain things in life when you're doing your sports, like I told you a very emotional story about my jaw. But the fact that I didn't give up, even if I was mentally not stable, is a story I can come and tell a sportsman who has gotten injured and wants to give up.
Yeah.
And I tell him, you know what? The injury is a setback, but it doesn't mean you close the chapter. It is something you can go through and become even better. If I had given up after my jaw, maybe we would have a mini Gonya. But the good thing is I did not give up. Now you have a full Gonya.
Full Gonya, yes.
Full Gonya. So I always keep telling these guys that it's tough when you get an injury, because why? People forget about you. You get?
Yeah.
You find a challenge even conversing with someone and telling them your problems. Maybe you need some help and ABCD. But because you're not in the limelight anymore, people don't want to listen to you. So this is where we come in and try and say, I have gone through this. It's not the end of the world. It's a stumbling block you're going through, but there's a brighter future ahead of you.
Yeah.
So stick in. This phase will pass and you will become better. You get? So those are the things I'm doing. And me also being on the athletes representative at the UOC is a good thing, because we normally have this kind of seminars. We talk to players. We have so much that is going on. So those are the things that I'm trying to engage into and see how we can support. You don't have to support on the pitch, but you can support outside the pitch. So when I came back from the US, I went back to Heathens training. I was training with them just to motivate them and said, you know what? Yes, even if I left, the team can still be going on. So keep doing what you're doing. But Andrew, it's quite challenging. Like I told you the story, when I came back, I watched the Cobs game. Heathens Cobs.
Yeah.
We lost at Legends. And I was telling you, I don't remember the last time I'd lost to Cobs. And this time I'm on the touchline. I'm watching my team being beaten. Homeschooled. It was quite emotional.
You want to get on.
And you want to get on, but you can't get on.
Yeah.
It's tough on the outside, because I left a sport I've loved for the last 22 years, because if I add when I started playing rugby, I'll say 22 years to being watching the game on the sideline. It's never easy. But one thing I know is I'll gradually become better with time. Yeah.
Michael, is there anything that you want to share with the world that you feel I did not ask you?
I think I've exhausted everything I can tell anyone.
Yeah.
But one thing I can tell the world out there, if you choose a sport, devote your life to it. Because I wouldn't say rugby alone. Any sport you choose, just give it your time, because there's so many things that you can achieve if you're determined to take yourself to the next level. I see people choosing sports, then they leave them. They choose rugby, they leave rugby, go to basketball, they leave basketball. If you choose one sport, stick to it. Don't let the sport down. Stick to it, because you never know how many doors that sport is going to open for you. So that's my message to everyone out there. Any aspiring sportsman is, when you choose the sport, stay determined to it. Love the sport, because there are some people who they don't love the sport. I'm telling you, if you don't love something, you cannot make good use of it. It's just like if you have a girlfriend, you need to love her for you to have something good happening.
That's important.
Very important. So love it, give it your whole heart, and things will happen for you, and you'll be amazed and surprised how far you can go.
And Michael, on that note, I want to invite you to join me and the team on the Impact Sport project of transforming lives through sport by empowering athletes and the community so they are ready for the life when they can no longer carry that ball and sprint.
I am right behind you, Andrew, and I know what it means for a sportsman and life after sports, because I am now facing it.
Yeah.
And I know how much it takes out of you when you're not in that sport, because one, you're not in the limelight anymore. People tend to forget about you. But what do you have to do? You have to stay afloat. You have to get something. You have to put yourself somewhere where people don't have to forget about you, but they say he's impacting the sport off the pitch, which is very important.
Fantastic.
So I'm right behind you. I'm going to be there to support you, even if I am not physically in Uganda.
We'll still do
wherever I'll be supporting you.
Thank you, Michael. The last one, I don't know if it will be uncomfortable for you, but we have to do it. You gave me your 7 for Heathens. We now need to get your 7 for the Rugby Cranes. And if you can, how about the 15s? The ones you've played with that you think this is your best team. 7s, Rugby Cranes, and the 15s. And then you go and play the game of life.
7s, I would go with just 7. I'm not going to name positions.
Yeah.
Just 7.
Yeah.
Robert Seguya, the late, he would be somewhere.
Yeah.
Alan Musoke. Philip Wokorach, definitely. I'll not forget myself, Michael Wokorach.
Yeah.
Adrian Casito, very good player. I'd go with Aaron Ofoiworth as well. Timothy Kisiga.
How many are those?
Those are 7 already.
Yeah.
Those are 7.
I feel like we've gone past, but
I need to name a team of 10 because 7s have
10.
subs as well.
Good. Yeah, go. 3 to go.
Brian Chikawa. Yeah. Wow. Let's see. Timothy Mudola. Yeah. Alex did not play much of 7s. I'll put him in the 15s. Don't worry. And
you are worried of him, I can't
yeah,
say,
I was worried.
okay.
Yeah. You need to respect a legend.
Yes.
So you need to fix him.
So we have one to go.
We have one to go.
Yeah.
Can we skip that? We'll come back.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's get 15s.
So 15s, Brian Odong. I'm going to try and name from 1 to 15.
Okay.
I just hope I can remember. So I'll go with Brian Odong. I'd go with Alex Muriru. I'd go with Asman Mugera. I would go with Locks. I would go with Romano Gwal, Ouru, Charles Gomez.
That's 5.
Yeah. The flankers, I would go with one of my mentors, which is Matthias Ocho. Number 6, I would go Robert Seguya. And number 8, I would go with Scott Olwach. That's my first 8. My back line, I would go with Davis Chiwalavye. Number 10, I would go with Chris Lubanga Opa. Number 12, I would go with Oscar Kalyango. Number 13, I would go with myself because I would be in 13. I would have put Timothy, but I can't leave myself out unless I'm now going to be the coach.
No.
So I put myself.
Yeah.
So myself. Number 14, I would go with Alan Musoke.
Okay.
Yeah. That was what?
14.
Yeah.
And 15.
15, Philip Wokorach. Yeah.
Good stuff.
That's
Do you want to complete the one remaining to make the 10th, or we leave that?
That would be too much thinking. That would be too much thinking.
Okay. Michael, I have enjoyed having you finally.
Thank you.
And it's such an honor to host you, Rugby Royalty.
I'm glad I made it because me and you are friends. We come a long way.
Yeah.
And it's good to support each other. And I'm glad I've come for the podcast, and I hope people like it.
They definitely will.
I know there's a lot that we have not talked about because we can talk for the whole day.
The podcast is not going anywhere, so we'll talk.
My rugby story is I've not told you so many other things, but it's about rugby trips here, whatever happens, how some trips we go and we have missed our bags, but we have to play. Some trips we go and we have not been paid because maybe money is stuck, but the union is going to provide. There's quite a lot that we would have talked about, but I'm glad at least in this short period of time I managed to cover so much. My history of how I started rugby and how far I went, and then finally did my last dance, which was a testimonial game. So it's been amazing.
Michael,
thank you.
this is the game of life.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And you're doing a good job. So I'm actually surprised you said what? Number 22?
You are number 21.
Which is a good thing.
19, 21.
You told me
June.
about this thing when it started.
I think
you contacted me when it started and you wanted me on the show.
I have a list of over 1,000 guests, and you're on that list. So
what I can say is you're doing a good job because from when it started to being the 21st is quite amazing, and I see a long journey coming and a beautiful one. So keep doing it. Don't give up. I know sometimes it's hard when you contact a guest and you tell him, man, come, and he tells you, man, I can't make it, ABCD, and maybe you will give up. But the good thing is you're determined. You kept calling me, this guy. But I'm glad I made it, and keep doing the good job, and God will bless you.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.